Hello everyone, Brian here. Welcome to another edition of Abuse Your Delusion. Today's topic is the problem with faith. When we are small children, we are told by our parents, grandparents, and other adults in our lives that we love and trust with all of our hearts that the following mystical, magical creatures actually exist: Santa Claus, the Easter Bunny, the Tooth Fairy, and God. And for at least three of the four, we experience things that we consider proof and evidence that they are in fact real. We can go to the mall and see Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny. We can walk up to them. We can sit on their laps. We can talk to them. On Christmas morning, there are presents under the tree from Santa Claus. On Easter morning, there are eggs from the Easter Bunny. And when we lose a tooth, the next morning there's money under the pillow from the Tooth Fairy. Meanwhile, the fourth mystical, magical creature in our lives, God, gives us nothing in the way of evidence. Zero. Zip. Nada. Zilch. Then, of course, when we are a little bit older, our parents, grandparents, and other adults in our lives that we love and trust with all of our hearts admit that they have lied to us. Three of the mystical, magical creatures we were told to believe in, that we were told to have faith that they are there, are in fact 100% fiction. They made it all up. They lied to us. Then they turn around and tell us that, well, in spite of the fact that they lied to us about all the others, that the fourth mystical, magical creature, God, the only one that we have experienced no evidence of, is the one that is actually real. They say to us, well, I know that we've lied to you before, but you can trust us this time. We wouldn't lie to you again. And of course, many of us accept that, but others of us do not. And I ask you, what is wrong with what a percentage of us, either at that moment of truth and clarity in childhood, or more likely, when we are a little bit older and reflect back, say to ourselves, which is the following: it has been proven to me that people I trust who tell me to believe things on faith alone are capable of lying to me and totally fabricating that which I was told to have faith in. So from now on, I am not going to believe in something by faith alone. Something that has no proof. Something I am told to just trust in, to just believe in, to just have faith that it is true and real. Instead, from now on, I am adopting a fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me approach. I will only believe in things for which I have evidence. Now, I know there are some of you that might be saying, well, what about parents who never tell their children about Santa Claus, the Easter Bunny, and the Tooth Fairy? They never lie to their children about these fairy tales. They don't muddy the waters of faith. Or, of course, other cultures around the world that don't recognize Santa Claus, the Easter Bunny, and the Tooth Fairy. Those examples may not work for them. That is a good point. But let's approach this from other angles. Let's examine the problems with faith from other aspects. Remember, if you believe something to be true, it is on you to prove that what you believe in is true. I do not have to disprove what you say. In other words, I do not have to prove a negative. For example, in a court of law, the prosecution believes a defendant to be guilty, and the prosecution must then prove the belief of guilt to be true. A defendant is not required to prove he or she is innocent. In other words, the defendant is not required to prove a negative. The defendant does not have to prove the prosecution is wrong. The prosecution must prove that they are right. So the bottom line is, if you want to believe in God by faith and without evidence, that is your choice. But we who choose not to believe in God because we have no evidence that he is real should be respected as well. In fact, in my opinion, our belief should be considered the more reliable of the two because we are the ones who are saying, I do not believe it because it is not proven. Whereas religious people say, I believe it even though I have no proof of it. A little side note here. Throughout history, religious people have struggled to prove the existence of God, or gods. Things that were once seen as evidence of God, we now know to have scientific explanations, such as the rising and setting of the sun and the tides, amongst other things. But that which we are still struggling to understand, such as the origins of the universe, is not proof of God either. The fact that it is yet not understood fully doesn't mean that by default it is God. Neither does the complexity of something prove a divine creator. You have merely shown that something is complex. You have not proven what the other complex something is that caused it. In fact, God creating it is the worst possible explanation using your own flawed reasoning. Because in fact you are using a logical fallacy. What you are saying is, the universe is too complex to not have been created. Therefore something even more complex that didn't have a creator must have created it. Do you see the problem here? What you are saying is that the universe is too complex to not have a creator. But yet you say that God, which would be infinitely more complex, has no creator. Sounds kind of silly when you really think about it, doesn't it? Look, we each must choose our own path in life. I'm just saying, you who believe in the unproven are the ones who need to do the convincing, not the other way around. Faith is not a solid foundation on which to build your philosophical house. Just a little something to think about. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. If you liked my video, please favorite it. Please share it. For Abuse Your Delusion, this is Brian. I'll see you again soon.